The energies are a bit intense again, and I won't say bad, but intense is always a nice neutral and yet descriptive word. Hi, I'm Veronica Lee. This is your weekly transformational forecast for the week of January 10th, 2022. What I'm seeing is we are experiencing a lot of influx of energy just kind of whooshing down, and it can feel yummy in some ways. It can feel like, wow, there's so much energy and I'm just being filled with this, and can feel sort of euphoric even. It can also feel a little bit disconcerting, and maybe it's hard to discern what it is that's coming in. So maybe you notice you have a lot of thoughts, or you feel like there's so much going on, but you can't necessarily put your finger on anything or identify any particular thought or carry out any thoughts. So just a huge influx of energy in that way. It can also show up as your body feeling slightly, maybe a little off. And so it could be that you are wanting to have physical body support, you are wanting to try to take care of things, but there's a sense of being a little bit scattered and you can't quite pull it all together to do so. So perhaps at the beginning of the year, you wanted to start a new, exercise routine or commit to something. And it feels like there's this potential to focus, but almost like an inability to focus, like you can't quite grasp it. As well, there are a lot of people still getting sick, and in that way, it's bringing in this, when energies come in, they can often make us feel more susceptible to illness. But what I'm seeing is that these energies are really to sort of launch this transformation that we are moving toward in 2022. What could it be showing up for you are a sense of all these ideas, all of these things coming in, and not being able to not just pinpoint them, but know where to start, right? Know what to do with these ideas. The other piece that I'm seeing, which is almost like the opposite, is that there's a lot of change happening, but it can still feel not quite stable. So in other words, a lot of times if there's a new change that we've been anticipating or waiting for, it might feel like, oh, finally, the tide has turned and things are falling into place. Well, what I'm seeing is that there's maybe a change happening, but it doesn't feel quite smooth. There's still some friction there, or there's still some uncertainty there. So a lot going on, and what's important is to stay mindful and as centered as you can through that. So in terms of mindfulness, that's tricky if your mind's just like all over the place trying to, grasp this and think of that and plan the other and figure out what we were just thinking about 2 seconds ago. Some practices, of course, are simple meditation. So whether it's 5 minutes or 50 minutes, if you can just find your breath, bring yourself into this quiet awareness, then that can help, kind of slow things down a bit. The other, of course, is taking any kind of time or walks in nature. So if it's just sitting and being still, fine. If it's, walking your dog, being in nature is often a really good place to just kind of come back in. The other piece I'm seeing is giving yourself more rest than you think you need. In the northern hemisphere, it is definitely more winterish, right? For some people, like here in California, we did have a snow recently, but now the sun is out again. But there's still that wintering sort of tendency, and that's coming in more, needing more sleep, needing to have a slower rate of beingness in our day, right? We don't want to be rushing through anything. The other piece I'm seeing has to do with it has to do with being of service to self. And I don't quite know how to explain this, but the picture I'm being shown is when we come into this stillness, or when we start to feel really scattered and we want to get centered, what a leading question could be is, what is it that I'm needing, right? What is it that I'm needing? And if we could start to practice that and tune into that, then we can start to feel and experience the potential answers, right? And oftentimes they're not going to be what we think they are or what we want them to be. So it might be, what is it I'm needing? Oh, I need to go get this done and that done and the other thing done. But maybe instead we'll hear, what you're needing is to go to bed by 8 p.m. tonight. And what you're needing is to take some more vitamin C so that you're not feeling so fatigued and your body is getting the support it needs with extra supplements. So really tuning in as best you can. So this is a time of coming in, understanding that all these energies are coming through and that we don't necessarily have to do anything with them yet. It's just sort of like getting a shower or a bath that we don't have to necessarily do a lot with, but to simply receive. It's like when you first wake up and that shower is hitting you and you're like not fully awake to use that bar of soap or do anything yet, right? Just enjoy that time. Think of it as like, let's say, a steam bath. And, being in this more self-oriented, what is it that I'm needing and how do I support self? So it's not about not getting support from others, but really just tuning so carefully into your own needs. And if you are in this phase of sort of things changing up and it feels like it's kind of hard to have that quietude or that little bit of self time, in this movement of this change and things happening, what's going to be important is to not just continue to find those moments of coming in quietude, but also discerning how to proceed with care and not rush to any kind of finish line. So there is no finish line. It may feel like there is a finish line, mostly because we want all this intense energy to be finished and for us to kind of know or get there, but to navigate with more grace than you might want to, right? So with that, have a good rest of your week, and I will see you next week. And in the meantime, really do take care of yourself.